This is the Holy Bible channel that unites the stories of our Lord Jesus Christ. Join me in uniting His stories on earth. And finally, I have a question, and you might be one of the winners of our annual promo. Your watching, sharing and subscribing to our channel is a great contribution for our assisted students. Let's go. The story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 is a well-known miracle that is recorded in all four Gospels of the New Testament. Matthew chapter 14 verses 13 to 21, Mark chapter 6 verses 30 to 44, Luke chapter 9 verses 10 to 17, and John chapter 6 verses 1 to 15. Here's a brief summary of the story. Jesus had been traveling with his disciples and teaching and healing the people. One day, a large crowd of about 5,000 men, plus women and children, had followed him to a remote place by the Sea of Galilee. As the day wore on, the disciples grew concerned about how they were going to feed such a large crowd. Jesus asked Philip, one of his disciples, where they could buy enough bread to feed the people. But Philip replied that it would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each person to have even a small amount. Another disciple, Andrew, then brought a boy to Jesus who had 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. Jesus took the loaves and fish, blessed them, and then broke them into pieces and gave them to the disciples to distribute to the crowd. Miraculously, the food multiplied as the disciples handed it out, and everyone in the crowd was able to eat their fill. In fact, there were 12 baskets of leftover food afterwards, one for each of the disciples. This miracle demonstrated Jesus' power and authority over nature, and also showed his compassion for the people's physical needs. It is still remembered and celebrated today as a powerful symbol of God's provision and abundance. How God created the universe. The creation of the earth is described in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament of the Bible. According to this account, God created the earth and everything in it in 6 days, resting on the 7th day. The account states that, on the first day, God created light and separated it from darkness. On the second day, God created the sky and separated the waters above from the waters below. On the third day, God created dry land and vegetation. On the fourth day, God created the sun, moon, and stars to mark seasons and days. On the fifth day, God created sea creatures and birds. On the sixth day, God created land animals and humans. In this account, God is described as speaking everything into existence. He declares that everything he creates is good. And after creating humans, he declares that his creation is very good. It's important to note that the creation account in Genesis is often interpreted in different ways by different people, and there are various debates about how it should be understood. Some people interpret the account literally, while others view it as a metaphorical or symbolic representation of the creation of the universe. Regardless of how one interprets the creation account in Genesis, it serves as a reminder of God's power and creativity in bringing the world into being. It also emphasizes the importance of stewardship and care for the earth and its creatures, as God entrusted humans with the responsibility of caring for his creation. The story of Noah's Ark. God saw that the earth was filled with violence and corruption, and he decided to cleanse the earth with a flood. He instructed Noah, a righteous man, to build an ark and to take 2 of every kind of animal on board with his family. Noah obeyed God's command and built the ark, which was large enough to hold his family and the animals. When the flood came, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and the waters covered the earth. The ark floated on the water, and after many months, the flood receded. Noah sent out a dove to see if there was dry land, and it returned with an olive leaf, indicating that the waters had receded. Finally, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, and Noah and his family and the animals came out of the ark. God made a covenant with Noah, promising never again to destroy the earth with a flood. He gave Noah the rainbow as a sign of his covenant. The story of Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was the youngest son of Jacob, and he was favored by his father. This caused jealousy and resentment among his older brothers, who plotted to kill him. Instead, they sold him into slavery in Egypt. In Egypt, Joseph worked for Potiphar, a wealthy Egyptian, but he was falsely accused of a crime and thrown into prison. However, God was with Joseph, and he interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, which led to his release from prison. Pharaoh also had a dream, and Joseph interpreted it as a warning of a coming famine. Pharaoh was impressed by Joseph's wisdom and made him second in command in Egypt. When the famine came, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt to buy food. They did not recognize Joseph, but he recognized them. Joseph tested his brothers to see if they had changed, and eventually revealed his identity to them. Joseph forgave his brothers and reconciled with them. He also brought his father and his entire family to Egypt, where they settled in the land of Goshen. Joseph's story is a powerful testimony to God's faithfulness and sovereignty, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. This is the question. The story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 is a well-known miracle that is recorded in all 4 Gospels of the New Testament. Just comment your answer. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Thank you.